bet on Sportsbook Rhode Island that Hart would have a visor on. You won that, but if you had Clemson at minus 775, you're a loser today.
Ooh, we should do that. It'd be
well, how many do you have? How many do you have?
Probably
in rotation.
In rotation,
yeah, in
right
rotation.
Now, there's about 5.
Okay. All right.
5 or 6.
Okay.
Totality, there's a box. I probably got 3 dozen.
But we would have to only bet on the ones that we know that there's 5 in rotation, 6 at max, and those are the ones we can bet. I'm down with that. I feel it's like a big surprise.
Yeah, and I try to mix in.
We're all looking at Twitch, and next thing you know, there's Dartmouth.
Well, this is a symbolic one because, winter sports are over. All the basketball teams lost in the playoffs. It's time to turn the page to the spring season of lacrosse.
Yeah, you're a lax dad.
Oh, that's
lax
right.
bro.
Yeah, he's a lax. You're a Chad.
I'm a double lax dad. Boy lax dad, girl lax dad.
Oh,
so
look
that
at
makes
you.
So if
super lax dad.
If the lax kids, some of the lax kids get hit with the Chad tag. What is it on the female side? Is there like a
what the hell's a Chad tag?
Well, they know, but they'll be like, he's a Brad or a Chad or whatever.
Oh, you know yeah. Because you're like, you play lacrosse.
Yeah.
It's a rich guy's sport.
What is it
They only
for
played at prep school.
Right. What is there a name
No,
that they do
Gavin.
on the female side of things?
I don't think so.
Females? Females?
so.
I don't know. What would females be? I don't have one of those.
Because you've heard that whole Brad Chad thing. No, Karen or the mom.
Karen's different now.
You're a male Karen yelling at these games there, Hart.
Gresh, you want to know something serious?
Uh-oh.
So I sent an email this morning regarding signing up for high school football officiating classes.
Stop it now.
Yep, I'm looking into it, seeing if it's a possibility for my spring. Courses start April 10th, 6:30
I'm down with
p.m.
it. All we're going to do is find out where the game is and heckle him.
This is unbelievable.
Get a field pass as he's out there.
I'll pick this up. On number 99 of the defense, after he tackled the quarterback, he's giving them business down there.
Perfect.
Yeah, I don't think they should give me a microphone. I think that would go poorly. But,
We should have you mic'd up, though.
I'm happy to. Hey, you want to come watch?
Yeah.
I'm going to be the best damn official that, in my own mind, I've ever seen.
In your own mind, what do you know? What position within the officiating crew you're going to train for?
I do not. This was passed on to me by the athletic director at our high school. They're looking for officials. He's like, hey, you're a loudmouth in the stands. Why don't you give this a shot? So I sent the email to see if it's a possibility because I would like to do it. I don't mind making a little extra money. I think I would be probably like freshman games or youth or whatever the hell. I don't think they're going to throw me out there in a real high school varsity game right out of the gates. I would hope not.
Kind of like a rookie quarterback.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not game ready.
Yeah,
I need to be redshirted. I need to work my way up. They're not ready for me.
Are there any height requirements that you have to work the outside and not the middle of the field?
I don't think that's funny. I don't think that's fair at all.
Thank you to Rob A2383 in the Twitch chat. That's a funny line.
That wasn't us.
Stole it, and there you go. Oh, boy. Hey, we just rolled out, Hart, the latest from Andrew Marchand about Bill Belichick. Would you be interested in a Belichick-Saban Manning cast on the Four-Letter Network during professional football games?
No, not on the Four-Letter Network because I want four-letter words squeezed into my Belichick and Saban analysis. And that's why
they
I've
are
said
cable. They can't
and
do
that's
that.
all along. Back as soon as this became clear, as soon as Saban packed his bags and got the hell out of the NIL transfer portal world, and it was clear that Bill was going to be out of a job, at least temporarily, this was what I started talking about on the Six Rings pod, is go streaming, go Amazon, wherever you can get, where those guys can be what I call production meeting Bill and go all in on the real way they analyze football. Because I heard Christian coming out. I do think if they're just going to, sort of do the clean version, the press conference version of how they see the game, it's boring. I'll watch it once and then I'll move on. But if they want to be the real raw dog deal that they are behind the scenes, that I'll sign up for and watch.
Yeah, see, I also don't think that – I'm trying to – when you think about the lifestyle, first of all, it's like it's not hard as far as like nobody's digging a ditch, right? And for him, I don't think he's going to stop watching film, but I don't think he would want to do the whole ESPN thing. To me, and like, hey, go on First Take, yell at Stephen A. Smith. Hey, go on, Get Up and argue with Mike Greenberg. He's not doing that, okay? Because that's nonsense.
Right.
I think he's more refined than that. And that's what we kind of came up with the whole, he belongs on the biggest stage and the biggest game, which is Sunday Night Football. That's where he should be, on NBC, on a major network, right? NBC, here's what you're going to do, pre, halftime, and post, that's it.
But can he impart any value? Because I think Tony Dungy is useless. Seems like a nice guy, but he's useless. He's blanks on a bull, if you know what I'm saying. Like, he offers nothing, and that's TV to some degree. And I say this as somebody who'll be, joining NBC Sports Boston later tonight, that you only get so much time in those pre and those post, and they have so many segments and so many points they want to get to. I just don't think that that's Bill's world. Superficial analysis of a bunch of games or just a quick halftime 30-second soundbite, I'm not sure that's what Bill wants. I don't know that you're getting return on your investment if you're NBC. Sure, you get the bang for your buck that, Bill Belichick, the greatest of all time, has joined the show. But I think you can do more and be more. I also think he needs to be paired with somebody he trusts, and I mean behind the scenes. I mean producers and directors. He wants to look good. He wants to be good.
Yeah.
If he does it. I know, for example, he has always trusted that guy, Kenny Rogers, who does not that Kenny Rogers, the Kenny Rogers NFL films.
The chicken guy?
No, different Kenny Rogers. But he is the one that does all those behind-the-scenes NFL films with Bill, and Bill basically reached the point where he trusted him to do anything, be anything, and go that way. I think he would need to be paired with the right person, and I don't know if he has those contacts at NBC, ESPN, Amazon, Fox, any of these other outlets. But I think he'd be a little wasted on sort of the superficial Tony Dungy role. I think he could do more than that, be more than that, and I would hope that he and the people that are packaging him would be more creative.
Andy Hart at WEEI.com and the Six Rings podcast here with Gresh and Fourier. I'm curious for your thoughts on the strategy being employed with Kyle Duggar, because I know there was a phrase used at one point in time about making them happy. I don't know if this would necessarily make Kyle Duggar happy, but I don't want to taint the jury pool. What do you make of all this?
This feels like a classic example of there's a disagreement on Kyle Duggar's market value, and they want him. They think he has maybe an inflated or unrealistic view of his market value. So you use the transition tag, you go out there, and if you find that your market value is closer to accurate, we have a decision to make. If you don't, we're happy to sign you to the offer that's on the table. I know there's been some reports that it might be in the range of what the transition tag is, $13 million a year, which is below the higher-end safety contracts in recent years. So this feels like an amicable, why don't you get a second opinion? Why don't you go get a second estimate on that work you want to have done? Gresh, you've been having work done left and right for the last
3 years.
3 years, it feels like.
I am almost done.
3 years.
I am
not done yet.
almost done with the water stuff. The teeth are another story.
And I'm guessing
But it's interesting, Hart, because this is like a Belichick strategy. And I thought we moved on from those things and the whole.
No, only sarcastic people like you say we moved on from everything from Bill Belichick.
Well,
no, there's still
down there. They told me too that silos got knocked down. It was on the news.
That doesn't mean everything got thrown out the door, including common sense and logic. I just feel like this is a common sense, logical opinion. I mean, honestly, if the organization wanted to retain Kyle Duggar, they probably should have retained him last summer, last fall. When you reach this point, now he has the opportunity to truly get out there and test the market and see what his value is, where everybody's got $5 extra million to spend, and it only takes one, quote unquote, to drive the market value up on him. If you really wanted these two guys, I'll put Onwenu in there too. You could have got him cheaper 6 months ago, 8 months ago, whenever that was.
By a year and early.
Yeah, and that was on the Belichick watch, and you didn't do that for whatever reason, because part of the reason they have so much money, and I think we've talked about this just in general, is they haven't had a lot of these guys that they wanted to / needed to re-sign, right? Bad drafting equals don't want to give big contracts to guys coming through the pipeline. Now you have a couple guys that you might want to give big contracts to, but you chose not to do it a year too early to try to save some money. Now they reach that point where, well, now I'm just going to see what's out there. And Mike Onwenu, who knows? Like, I've heard rumblings, Mike Onwenu, that the price could go north of $22 million a year. I like Mike Onwenu. You probably like him too, Gresh. Do you want to pay him $22 million a year? Because I don't. That's a lot of money.
Well, I'll tell you this. I think an indicator, if they do, then that screams they're going draft pick at left tackle then. Because that'd be a significant amount of money to sink into one side of the O-line, and you got to balance that, and the only way you can do it is have a second-rounder over there.
Well, no, I think also the alternate opinion, not Joe Alternate, a different alternate opinion, is Tyron Smith. And you've heard this sort of influx of they like Tyron Smith. They're fans of Tyron Smith in the Gillette Stadium offices. And I think some of that might be, well, if we're not giving that guy, Mike Onwenu, big coin, maybe we can get an aging Tyron Smith on a shorter-term deal for a little less coin, be our left tackle bridge guy for a few years, draft a guy maybe in the middle of the draft who starts out at right tackle with the hope that he develops into a left tackle. Maybe we move him, but there's less pressure. He's not coming in right away to be the left tackle for a number 3 overall quarterback. So I think some of that might be the realization that Mike Onwenu has really high price hopes, and Tyron Smith might be a more reasonable option. But
Tyron Smith would be this year's Riley Reif.
But a much better player. I mean, Tyron Smith at one point was the best tackle in football, borderline Hall of Fame tackle. Like he is a higher end prospect who's been banged up and is getting older. But you're kind of rolling the dice and saying, can he stay healthy? Can he give me 3 years at high level play, 2 to 3 years at high level play as I work through this rebuild and try to fill all these spots where there doesn't seem to be enough talent available, even with my extensive resources.
So the Kyle Duggar thing, one, I wonder if he thinks it's an insult, and two, this is one of those situations where he's not going anywhere. They're going to get a deal done. Because this is only the sixth time this has happened in the last 15 years.
It's funny when you see the release from the NFL and it's like all the franchise tags, and then there's like a little skip, a paragraph, and then one little box that says Kyle Duggar, transition tag.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I don't know what the market bears, and I don't know that they're going to extend themselves, and I wouldn't if I were them. I don't know how you guys feel about, forget transition tag and contract, I don't know how you guys feel about Kyle Duggar, the player. I think he's good, not great. I think he's a solid player. The concern I have is a little bit of a redundancy in the back end. You lose Devin McCourty to retirement, and it feels like you have 3 budding box safeties in Jabril Peppers, Kyle Duggar, and hopefully Marte Mapu. You don't have the free safety type, the replacement for McCourty in the back end. And I think you can make an argument that last year Jabril Peppers was the better all-around player, right? And so now I'm going to lock up Duggar. So I like him, don't love him, and I'm certainly not going to overextend for him just to start some culture. Ooh, the Packer way means you draft, you develop, you resign. Well, not if it doesn't make sense for my football team and my fiscal responsibility in terms of the coming years.
So, the other day we were having a discussion about the best procedure when it comes to developing a young quarterback, a drafted quarterback. Sit and develop behind a veteran quarterback, older guy in his 30s, or baptism by fire? Which procedure do you like?
Sit. I mean, in an ideal world, I told you guys this. I asked Jim Nagy about this with you, Fourier, remember? When I was filling in for Gresh, I think he had some tooth issues. There should be a rule. All drafted quarterbacks have to redshirt. You got to sit 1 year, and then you can play the next year. I think you would have better results. I don't think it's a coincidence that the bulk of the best quarterbacks over the last 20 years sat. The Tom Brady's, the Patrick Mahomes, the Jordan Loves, the Aaron Rodgers, like a lot of these guys sat and got the opportunity to learn. Now, some of them came into fortuitous situations with the Chiefs, like they had Alex Smith. They planned it out right. They did it right. Or the Packers had Rodgers, then Love, blah, blah, blah. But I don't think any damage could ever be done for a guy sitting. There is the opportunity for damage to be done if he plays too soon. That being said, I think if the guy's really special, if he's really the guy, if he's really him, as Rich Keefe hates it when I call it that, if he's him, he's not going to break because you play him too early. Baptism by fire, he will figure it out, learn from it, come out the other side better. But if it's the absolute best case scenario you're looking for, he sits for a year and he watches and he learns behind a veteran.
What are you expecting to happen once free agency starts?
In New England or the NFL?
No, in New England. We've been led to believe things are going to be different.
Well, you keep saying things with a sarcastic tone. You have a tone issue these days. You have a tone issue in the transition from Bill Belichick to Gerard Mayo.
I'm going off of what they said, just like the segment on the Greg Hill Show. They said it. I react to it.
Who they?
Who they? Oh,
Who they?
Mayo, Wolf, those guys.
But they said different things. One said burn cash. One said save.
So you mean they don't even know which end is up down there?
Well, they have a collaborative, and that's the problem with a collaborative.
No silos.
You know what? I haven't heard that word in a week.
So
They
you know
should
what?
be congratulated.
You're telling me he has a tone and he's being sarcastic, and then you feed it.
I know.
Well, and then I know
You
I'm
fed
right.
it. You just fed it.
Because I'm out there. Because I'm out there like a lot of Patriots
So don't
fans
bitch
who are
about
just
it.
who are just kind of giggling at the whole thing of the. Well, again, it's a new day, as they say in WWE, like the new day. I'm waiting for him to come down the aisle. It's a new day. Yes, it is. So why should I not expect fireworks and money thrown around and cap manipulation and all that kind of stuff? Come on, Hart.
Well, they don't need to manipulate any cap. They got $100 million to spend. The problem is, are you spending it just to spend it, or are there actual valuable targets out there? And do they fit your needs? And I'm not sure that's coming to fruition. Now, we all talked about the wide receivers yesterday. Mike Evans, off the table. Pittman, off the table. Like your option, T. Higgins, off the table. Your options become more limited. So that has to alter your plan. If you were planning on signing Mike Evans or making a run at him, you can't. Now, do you just spend money? There's a little piece of me, Gresh, you're probably going to hate this idea. A little piece of me that's intrigued by the idea of throwing some money at Saquon Barkley and having a backfield of Ramondre Stevenson and Saquon Barkley.
No, I don't hate that. I loved what Zeke did last year. I mean, you don't want to go crazy, but that's not a terrible idea at all. Probably porks you with Stevenson,
But I have to spend money. Like, the reality is they got to get to the floor, too. They have to spend money. They have to fill out a roster. They have to fill out an offense. And just going – so Calvin Ridley – feels like he's going to get overpaid. Is that safe to say? As sort of the one free, so I don't want to just keep putting money on top of the stack. Yep, I'll see it and I'll raise it. I'll see it and I'll raise it. I think Calvin Ridley's probably a 2. I don't even think he's a franchise wide receiver, a true number 1 wide receiver. So I have to start thinking of, what is Billy Beane's phrase? Market inefficiencies. Well, if Josh Jacobs is sitting out there and Derek White is sitting out, Derrick Henry's sitting out there, and Saquon Barkley's sitting out there, can I maybe go get Saquon Barkley for 80 cents on the dollar? Is there a more conservative approach and draft a receiver and keep Hunter Henry? So in an ideal world, do I think it'd be great if they could sign a tackle, sign a wide receiver, and check off boxes? Absolutely. But if they're not there, don't force it. So that would cause me to I'd also look at the defensive side of the ball. There's going to be opportunities to add to this defense. Tom Curran, I know, wrote, interestingly, Stephon Gilmore. Would you hate to see Stephon Gilmore back? I think if you got $100 million to spend and you want to put a veteran former defensive player of the year with Christian Gonzalez, who, you want to talk about sarcasm, Gresh, we've anointed him Ty Law 2.0, Stephon Gilmore 2.0, 3.5 games, and we've put him in the Hall of Fame here. And I love him. I love his talent and his upside. But for us to just pretend that he is going to be the cornerstone building block of this defense and be a great corner for the next 2 decades or something, we're a little ahead of ourselves. So I think you need to spend your money more judiciously than maybe we first hoped or thought when we heard Gerard Mayo speak, because some of the obvious answers aren't really there.
I was going to snark it up one more time, but I won't.
Please do. I like it.
No, I was going to say, since all Bill's draft picks were bad, I figured Gonzalez was getting traded anyway.
Oh, jeez. That makes no sense. And they're not all bad. It's funny, when he left, he's actually got the signable ones. Onwenu, Duggar, you got Barmore coming down the pipe.
Nope.
There's some signable ones.
Silo alert.
I actually heard Elliott Wolf drafted all those guys.
Oh, there you go. That's better, right? Yeah, Matt Groh will be exiting stage left a week after the draft.
Oh, absolutely. There's going to be some shakeup. That's the traditional NFL front office style, though.
Absolutely.
You keep the guys, the draft ends, their contracts end, and then you bring in your guys.
I have a week of lunch wagered on him leaving the Friday after the draft. How about that?
I think I bet you there's a good chance that we get some more Elliott Wolf, Packer, and Browns scouts, area scouts, connections guys coming through the pipeline.
Andy Hart, you can hear him on the Six Rings podcast. You get him with us on Wednesdays. You hear him with Keith all the time as well. And thank you, Hart. We appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy.
See ya. Bye. There we go. There goes our guy, Andy Hart, coming up.